For the longest time, we thought we had our planet pretty much figured out. We knew the continents, the layers, the basic rule book, right? Well, it turns out we're in a golden age of geological discovery, and it's proving that our home is way more dynamic and a lot more mysterious than we ever imagined. So let's dive into 5 breakthroughs that are literally rewriting the book on planet Earth. I want you to think about this for a second. What if the very ground you're on, the solid Earth we take for granted, is actually hiding some incredible secrets? What if it's a total stranger? Because, well, that's exactly what geologists are finding out. The Earth isn't some finished puzzle we've already solved. No, the pieces are still moving, shifting, and we are just now beginning to see the real picture. Okay, so let's do this. Let's open up the case files on 5 incredible revelations that are changing everything we thought we knew about the world. And we are starting with a huge one. I mean, a discovery so massive, it was somehow hiding in plain sight this whole time. Say hello to Zealandia, or as it's also known, Te Reu Amaui. Now, geologists have suspected this was out there for a while, but we now have the very first complete map of this lost 8th continent, hidden deep beneath the South Pacific. So why was it lost? Well, this number says it all. 94%. That is the absolutely staggering amount of this continent that's completely submerged under the ocean. And look, we're not talking about some tiny island here. At 1.9 million square miles, it's almost half the size of Australia. A whole distinct, independent continent that's been almost entirely hidden from us by the waves. Just look at that tiny little 6% sliver you see, that's what's visible above water, basically New Zealand and New Caledonia. The rest of it, the other 94%, that's the vast hidden continent we've just finally put on the map. All right, for a second revelation, we're going to move from the crust and dive way deeper, right down to the very heart of the planet. For about a century, the thinking was that the boundary between Earth's liquid outer core and the rocky mantle above it was like an impenetrable wall. Well, that whole theory has just been completely shattered. It turns out the core is leaking. Yeah, you heard that right. Scientists are finding elements like helium-3 and ruthenium at volcanic hotspots, like in Hawaii. These are primordial materials, stuff that's been locked away in the core since the Earth first formed 4.5 billion years ago. This means the core is actively bleeding into the mantle, and that could be affecting everything from how fast our planet is cooling to the stability of our magnetic field. It's a huge deal. Okay, so discovery number 3 is going to take us on a trip back in time, way back, to our planet's very first days. The old view of early Earth during what's called the Hadean Eon, that's its first 500 million years, was that it was this quiet, kind of boring rock with a rigid, unmoving crust called a stagnant lid. But you know what? New evidence from some ancient crystals tells a much more violent story. By analyzing these incredible 3.3 billion-year-old crystals, we now know that plate tectonics, the engine that recycles carbon and keeps our climate stable, was already, and this is a quote, shockingly vigorous, way earlier than we thought. That planetary engine has been running almost since the very beginning. And from the ancient past, we're going to jump to something absolutely dramatic that is happening right now, in real time. Off the coast of Vancouver Island, geologists have found a phenomenon that is both incredibly rare and, frankly, a little terrifying. A massive tectonic plate isn't just grinding against another one. No, it's literally tearing itself apart. This smaller plate, the Explorer plate, is actually collapsing and ripping away from the bigger Juan de Fuca plate. This slab tear is creating some major instability along the Cascadia subduction zone. That's a huge fault line off the Pacific Northwest. Understanding this is absolutely crucial for figuring out earthquake risks, and it might even explain some mysterious volcanic activity in that area. And for our 5th and final revelation, let's head back under the waves for a discovery that is completely redrawing the maps of our ocean floors. So NASA has this new satellite called SWOT, and it is completely revolutionizing how we see the deep ocean. We used to think it was this barren, empty abyss. Turns out, it's absolutely teeming with life, all centered around thousands of underwater mountains we never even knew existed. I mean, just look at this. Before this satellite, we knew of about 44,000 of these underwater mountains, or seamounts. Now, we estimate there are over 100,000 of them.
And these aren't just rocks, they're like biological engines creating these massive ecosystems, literal oases of life in the deep, dark sea.
So, you might be wondering, how in the world are we uncovering all these secrets? Well, the modern geologist's toolkit combines old-school fieldwork with some truly mind-blowing technology. One of the key technologies is something called seismic tomography. What it does is it uses the energy waves from earthquakes as they travel all the way through the planet. By analyzing how these waves speed up or slow down through different materials, scientists can build these incredible 3D maps of the Earth's interior. It's basically an ultrasound for the entire planet. How cool is that? So what's the verdict here? What does this all mean? From a lost continent popping up on our maps to a core that's literally leaking, all these discoveries are painting a brand new picture of our world. The Earth isn't just some static rock. It's a living, breathing, evolving entity. This is a really fundamental shift in how we see our own planet. We've really only just started to peek under the hood of the world we thought we knew so well. And with our tools getting better and more powerful every single day, the real question is, what incredible secrets are we going to find next?